Good morning, everybody. I don't know where the year is gone, but it is 4th of July weekend, the middle of summer, time to dine out. Oh, not, but you should. Wonderful time. And L5 is one of Denver's most popular, beautiful restaurants. And there's a special guy I've known for years, even though he took off and left us for a while. He's back, Belk, and I guess you're the head barman around in my life. Welcome.
Thank
And
you. Thank you. It's good to be back.
it's a good thing you came back. I was getting lonesome. Okay. So tell me, life, this is a little different. This isn't the chef or the owner, the bar guy, the bartender, the head barman. Uh, Tell me a little bit about you and this job of yours that's so intriguing. To me, you make or break a restaurant because I always try to eat at the bar.
Right. Yeah, we love that. Well, thanks. Yeah, so I'm one of the head barmen at L5 now, recently returned. I opened the joint whatever it was, 10 almost 10 years ago. And then I dipped out for about 7 years and touring the world. Taking my bar game on the road. But I'm back now and we're up at L5 and it is fantastic, particularly good weekend for it. You know, we're up on that fifth floor with the dramatic views and there's hardly a better spot to watch fireworks than my bar the next few days.
And
Uh,
it's going to be open.
yeah. We're open all weekend. I'll be there tonight, so you'll get to watch the fireworks from Coors Field and all the other little ones that kind of pop up around the neighborhoods. And I think you can see some of the other ones even like from I don't know Adams County Fairgrounds if that's still a thing, and a lot of the other ones in the area. But particularly Coors Field fireworks show will be front and center. So yeah, it's terrific for that for this weekend for sure, but still still very busy, very popular date night spot. I feel like we see a lot of folks for anniversaries and engagements and things like that. So it's
And
terrific.
just because food's marvelous, everything else.
Oh
But
man.
how did decide to be a bartender as opposed to a general manager?
Hmm. I guess I still just really I like getting my hands dirty. I enjoy that. Not that general managers don't. I mean, although they probably spend more time bussing tables, and I enjoy that not as much as making drinks. I don't know. I am a bit of a unicorn that way. I've been a bartender for 37 years, something like that now. And while I've kind of, messed around with a couple other things and had a couple other sort of larger roles, um, I've always had, at least a couple shifts a week where I was still bartending. I just enjoy being on that front line, working with the guests directly, kind of making the experience for them. I enjoy working with the team of other bartenders. There's only been a handful of times where I've been just like the one bartender, and I don't actually enjoy that as much. I found as working with like two or three others on a shift, and us all kind of bringing our disparate sort of skills and expertise together, creating special moments or just, ordinary lovely dinner moments for folks.
Okay,
Um,
you have to know how to make all the drinks people know, but you
sure.
do a lot of creating too, right?
Yeah, we do for sure. I think that's important. Although it's an interesting, I mean, like mixology kind of happened 20 years ago or so, and it became really important that everybody have like signature cocktails and I think, people like to come. There's a group of people that certainly a segment of the population that likes to come and see what it is that we've created that's unique. It gives us an opportunity to build drinks specifically um, for our menu, for our food.
Right.
Work with the chef, work with the kitchens to have things that like really resonate. pair well with the food. But again, it is also there's plenty of people that just come in and want a Cosmo, and over the years, one of the things for me, um, as a, a veteran bartender, it's actually I take a bit more pride in those drinks, in the Cosmos, in the mojitos, in the old fashions. Um, because a guest comes in and has one of my signature drinks, and they say, "Wow, this is really good." I kind of go, "Yeah, I know. I made it to be good." But if somebody comes in and orders a Cosmo for me and says, "Wow, this is the best Cosmo I've ever had," that's saying something, right? They've had Cosmos from maybe hundreds of bartenders, and if they really liked mine, I feel like that's sort of higher praise.
Okay, I have a question. Talking about that side of the business, because we often talk about gluten free or what's more popular, blah, blah, blah. There's wine, there's cocktails, and of course, the new non alcoholic range.
Right.
As we talk about the three in beer, in this day and age, what is happening? Well, let's start without the non alcohol wine, cocktails, beer. Is there a popularity? Is there a decrease in one or the other?
Hmm. You know, speaking specifically at L5, and that's
Well,
really
that's all we
my
can.
my my only kind of point of reference at the moment. Um, we're actually, I just, percentage wise, we're still very much where we were 9 years ago when we opened in terms of the breakdown, like food versus bar, and then in the bar segment, cocktails and spirits versus wine versus beer. And that was surprising to me, because everybody had said that things were down and things had shifted. But for us specifically at L5, we're basically kind of a 65-35 food and bar split. And then in the bar segment, um, cocktails and spirits own about 65% of that
That's what
breakdown. And then wine holds 25, 30%. Um, non-alcoholics, one of our favorite topics, is actually about like 7%, and beer is 3 or 4%.
okay.
So that non-alcoholic segment is way up.
Now let's talk about that.
Yeah,
I mean, I personally, if I say I still love wine and I do love cocktails, a few, but I'm happier often with non alcoholic.
right.
So I think I am part of a new whole
Yeah,
section of people that can't not have alcohol,
right.
but just don't want it as much.
Certainly. Yeah.
What I think restaurants like you, what are you doing about that? And what are you showing?
Yeah, we actually when we opened L5 with a pretty strong non-alcoholic program. In fact, like the only um cocktail recipe I've had like published in a book,
Right.
was a lady who, 9 years ago did a book on non-alcoholic drinks and reached out to me about one of the drinks we had on the menu back then, which we no longer have. But I think it's a handful of different things. I do think that um, it's sort of societally driven, as you say. I think there's some people that are just sort of choosing to drink less, and not that they're not drinking at all, but maybe they start with one alcoholic drink and then finish with a non-alcoholic, or just kind of use them as a pacer that way, which has always sort of made sense to me. I think generationally, there's an argument that some of the younger generations are just drinking less or not drinking at all. And then I think also, like, as the industry has recognized that and reacted, there's a lot more better non-alcoholic options available. Um,
I think that's a big
yeah,
difference.
both fully packaged, prepared, like that, and then also components.
Right.
Um, I mean, like beer was really, I think the beer industry was one of the first kind of was one of the early adapters, and like the non-alcoholic beers that are available now are just knockouts.
Right.
I mean, I think there's not just a single brand, but there's multiple brands, multiple producers that are making beer that's almost indistinguishable, from its alcoholic counterpart. So, the first time I had a non-alcoholic Guinness. Man, I was sold. I was like, I can wake up and have Guinness for breakfast, guilt free. That didn't bother me at all. But I
And
think there's a
I
lot of
love,
other things
yeah,
available now. Modifiers or components, things that let us like make non-alcoholic drinks more
yeah.
readily.
Okay, I don't care whether it says gin, rum, whatever. I want a drink that I don't want it to necessarily say it's got to taste like gin. I just want it to taste good.
Right.
And I think that's the big play now.
Yeah.
You're selling me, well, I want it. I am a bunch of people, but we just want something that tastes really good, that complements our food like a wine.
Mm.
So would
Right. I think that's a bit of a that's maybe are we talking about just like general drinks, or are we still not
any,
necessarily non-alcoholic anything?
oh
Yeah,
yeah,
I think that's part of a larger shift as well. There was a really it was critical 10 years ago that everything have some like great story,
right.
like everybody, fictional or otherwise, every product, had to have some like origin story. And the pressure was on the marketing departments. And I felt like people, even, guests came and they were like, okay, tell me why I should care about this gin. Tell me why I should care about this bourbon. Tell me why I should care about this, hunk of protein. And I think a lot of that pressure has released. I think a lot of that has been sort of, I don't know, recognized as just sort of noise. Maybe we all just got sort of like tone deaf to it because it did just start to sound like marketing fluff, and it seemed disingenuous. It didn't seem like
I don't care about the brand. I care
right.
about what I like.
Right. So, and that's why I think like that what all that noise sort of has
With the brand.
translated to now is people are like, no, I just want good,
Yeah,
I
that's
just
it
want,
in a nutshell.
it's a bit of a return, maybe to simpler times, where
No,
like
I agree.
where you and I are well aware of what the business was like in the 80s and the
Yeah.
90s. When I started bartending in the late 1900s, it didn't matter. Like we didn't know what was in all of these bottles. We didn't know where it came from. We didn't know how it was produced. People just came to me and they wanted a good drink. Um, and uh, and now like we've added on all this sort of complexity, which I still think is really important and really I mean, like, man, the sourcing, just a shout out to our chef Corey, who's been at L5, since the beginning and does like such an amazing job. His commitment to sourcing, like where things come from, is beyond anybody I've ever talked to.
I
And
think
I think
all
really,
of edible beets in general,
yeah,
Chiz, L5, and moved down all those. I think they've always cared. And I
yeah.
know there's always been a section in many of the places for non-alcohol drinks.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think, what we identified it. I personally identified it, you know, several years ago, roughly around the time we opened L5. Once I realized it was sort of a service fail, you know, that 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 we made all these like uh put all this effort into providing for gluten-free or for vegetarian or vegan or nightshade, like name your allergy, and we addressed it. But if somebody came in and said that
Mental.
they didn't drink, well, here's a glass of juice or whatever, and so and I realized at that point that it was again it was a service fail, and that like those people who didn't drink for whatever reason, or maybe just weren't drinking that night,
Yeah,
weren't drinking on that visit, still wanted to take part in the ritual. You know,
right.
still wanted to feel like they had a drink in a grown-up glass. They didn't feel like they got, a bunch of juice in a sippy cup while the rest of their friends were having this sort of elegant moment. And that's when I really decided like that, my commitment shifted. And I wanted to make sure that the things that we were providing um, to all of the, no matter what somebody ordered to drink, that whatever we were providing was all on the same sort of kind of level, you know? So,
You've done that there. I mean, you have a menu with paella, little plates, and Asian and whatever, all these fabulous foods. Potatoes, brava, you gotta order anybody
yeah,
else.
yeah, absolutely.
But I want something more than water.
Right.
And I certainly just don't want soda. And
Yeah.
you provide that wonderful, whether it's spice or herb or taste that balances.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I hope so. That's certainly our intent. I look at the non-alcoholic drink list like I would be building any other cocktail menu. I mean, I think you have the um, different sorts of whether it's kind of a fruity or sour, something, whether it's something a bit
Right.
bitter and lean, something that's a bit long and bubbly. I mean, I think and it's a fun challenge then for me too to create like a whole separate menu kind of within a menu, and again get to revisit food pairings again, and I think it's a bit of a crutch. I've always looked at it as a bit of a crutch to just like take drinks and then go buy some non-alcoholic spirit and just swap it in.
And
Um,
most of them are.
because yeah, because it's not necessarily the best solution, you know.
Well,
Much like, turkey bacon isn't bacon.
no, and it
Like
never will be.
not non-alcoholic gin isn't gin, So if you're just not drinking, there's a whole other world of ingredients and flavors you can mess around with. So
You know what? We've been talking. I can't believe where the time has gone. I know you have fabulous non-alcoholic and alcoholic drinks. L5 hours. Tell them how to get
we open for happy hour every day at 4 o'clock, and then we're there until like 10 o'clock early in the week, 11 o'clock on the weekends.
open every night.
Yes.
And ediblebeats.com. Do you know your address?
Uh, the street address for like 2930 Umatilla,
Right.
up on the fifth floor, there on that, right next to Linger, our sister restaurant.
Outdoor patio, gorgeous. And that's on the fifth floor too. Make reservations. It's not
Yes.
always easy to get in. And please like and subscribe to the Gabb on YouTube. It's the Gabb GAB/Gabby Gourmet. You'll find this there on Instagram, on Facebook, and L5 and all Justin Cucci's restaurants at the Beats are incredible. L5 is spectacular decor and everything. Come see you there and find me at the bar smiling at you.
Yeah.
Have a great fourth and everybody else too. Have a wonderful week, guys.
Love it. Thank you.
Yep. All right. Bye bye.